Growing up in a rural community of southern New Hampshire, I've experienced firsthand the lack of resources that exist for businesses to access climate solutions and really be a force for good in their communities. And so I was really drawn to work for ClimateWork Maine this summer, who does exactly that, providing solutions for businesses and resources for them to access real practical solutions that can help them move towards sustainability and climate action. My name is David Crory. I am a upcoming junior at the University of New Hampshire studying environmental science ecosystems with a dual major in sustainability. And I am pleased to be the Summer Sustainability Fellow for ClimateWork Maine, working with Maine climate action and regional engagement. And I would love to tell you a little bit about my project and about ClimateWork Maine. So, firstly, ClimateWork Maine is a nonprofit organization that works all throughout the state of Maine to connect businesses so that they can have more power through collective action, and they can also network with each other and be able to collaborate towards finding solutions against the problems that we face today. And so ClimateWork Maine is a relatively young organization. In the last 5 years, they've had a lot of engagement, but that has mostly been in the Portland and Augusta and coastal regions of Maine, and not so much in the western and northern regions. And so ClimateWork Maine identifies this as a problem where they want to engage the state as a whole and understand all of those perspectives of different stakeholders from different backgrounds and geographical locations. So my project this summer has been to really do outreach into these rural communities and understand what their needs are, what challenges face them, and how we might best be able to provide a new program for them to access climate solutions and move towards a more sustainable future. So this project had three main prongs to it. The first was research. And so I had to understand what businesses are in this area, how many employees do they have, how much revenue do they make, and also what sector they're in. But most importantly, are they interested in sustainability already? Are there any businesses in these areas that are pursuing sustainability endeavors? And so I did this by looking at all of their different websites, and I identified 50 businesses who mentioned some sort of commitment to sustainability, and about 20 who made vigorous commitments to sustainability. I identified these as sustainability leaders, as businesses that I wanted to do outreach towards to try to conduct an interview with. And so that led me to the second phase, which is outreach. So I sent a lot of emails to businesses. I called numbers trying to get different contact information. And I ended up sending a lot of emails to all of those 50 businesses. I also sent out emails to nonprofits in the area and also to a lot of small businesses that worked in the environmental or recreation industry so that they likely would be interested in participating as well. I conducted about a 30-minute interview with all of the people who responded to me. There was about 25 people that I was able to interview, which was really great. And I had a lot of awesome conversations with people from all different backgrounds and people from nonprofits and people from businesses alike. And then finally, analysis, which is drawing out common themes from these interviews and understanding what to do about a program in that area based on that feedback. So, what were the key themes from these interviews that I was able to conduct? The first main theme was disconnection. A lot of businesses in Western Maine feel disconnected from each other. They feel that they're a little bit siloed because of the geographical distance between different businesses, but also just because of the struggles of financially keeping their business afloat. There's often not someone who's in charge of keeping up these relations between businesses and having the time and capacity to devote energy towards trying to maintain these relationships and work on collaborative solutions, but instead they're focusing their energy on trying to stay afloat. The next key theme was that Western Maine is really heavily reliant on the tourist economy that is brought in by skiing, mountain biking, hiking, and other outdoor recreation activities. Another part that's related to that is that most of these nonprofits and businesses that I interviewed identified clear impacts on businesses due to a changing climate. And that was things such as increased flooding, damaging infrastructure of businesses, eroding different trails and recreation spaces, lack of snowfall, reducing the amount of time that recreation can be had in skiing and snowmobiling, and also the change of forest ecology, which impacts the lumber industry. So there was a lot of different climate impacts that have been felt in Western Maine that are impacting the economy. Another big key theme was that businesses have a strong desire for not just big blanket words and statements about sustainability and climate action, but they want to know what practical, small, or large things they can do to really implement sustainable practices in their business and what other businesses are doing in their area that are a similar size to them that they might be able to replicate. They want specific examples. Another thing that's related to that is that these businesses have a desire to learn more, where they're, like I stated before, not always devoting a specific staff member to be researching grants and different funding opportunities to be able to pursue sustainability endeavors. So having someone come in and be able to educate them on what exists and what ways businesses can take action is really valuable and something that businesses are looking for. And finally, my last takeaway was a willingness to want to pursue sustainability and a willingness to come together with other businesses to work towards creating solutions to the challenges that this area is feeling. Because as I mentioned before, the realities of climate change are being felt by businesses all throughout these communities and by municipalities as a whole. And so um, finding solutions to how businesses can adapt and be more resilient to these changes, especially when there's something, so intrinsic to their culture, such as skiing and tourism. If these industries are changing, there's a deep desire for these businesses to come to new solutions and work together to stay resilient for a changing future. And so, what do we do based on this feedback and based on these key themes? So that brings me to the deliverables of what I'm presenting to ClimateWork Maine and to Western Maine at the end of this summer. So firstly, a network of contacts. As I mentioned before, throughout the whole summer, doing a bunch of different research analysis, I was able to create spreadsheets of different names, emails, addresses, etc., of businesses that are interested in sustainability and especially the ones that I've made contact with and had interviews with, been able to keep that relationship there so that ClimateWork Maine can engage with them in the future for future programs. Secondly, I've been able to provide a timeline and an implementation strategy for a program in the fall, the Western Maine Sustainability Council, of when that should be implemented, what steps should be taken when, and finally, what ways it should be implemented to best reflect the needs and wants of Western Maine businesses. And finally, a lengthy report detailing summarized data, interview takeaways, and next steps. And then also one pager of specific examples from businesses from interviews that show cost savings and other benefits of switching to sustainability endeavors. So what is the impact of my work this summer? What is this going to leave a lasting impact on ClimateWork Maine and Western Maine? Well, firstly, the Western Maine Sustainability Council. Through my work this summer, I've been able to really identify businesses that would want to participate in a program such as the one that ClimateWork Maine is suggesting. I've also been able to um, really identify that there's a need and a want for a program like this in the area. And so when this is rolled out, this is going to be able to build community and collaboration in Western Maine that doesn't currently exist and is really needed, as I mentioned with the feeling of disconnection from businesses earlier. Additionally, another benefit is I talked to a lot of different nonprofits throughout this summer. And so being able to offer a space for businesses to come together with nonprofits and be able to understand what services and education they're able to provide to businesses is really valuable and helps advance climate action in the region as a whole. And finally, lighting a spark, as I put it, which is, really taking the ideas and the passion that is there, bringing people together and starting those conversations to get the ball rolling, to get ideas moving, and to really encourage other people to want to pursue sustainability endeavors. But not only has this impacted ClimateWork Maine and Western Maine, it's also impacted myself. I've been able to see the real impacts of climate change on rural communities, which I didn't previously know about. I knew about more large scale climate change issues. And that's really inspired me to continue to pursue sustainability in the future. I've also been able to understand more nuance and solutions, and really trying to find conclusions that are win-wins for all people involved, regardless of where you stand on the political spectrum. And finally, on a more personal note, I have gained a lot of interview and outreach skills, which I didn't previously have, and I'm really grateful for, and I think I'll definitely use that in my future career. So overall, I'm really grateful for this opportunity this summer, and I am eternally grateful for the opportunity to work for ClimateWork Maine this summer. And I want to extend a thank you to Jeff Marks, Jen Brooks, and my mentor Fiona Wilson for all of the hard work and for the welcoming attitude they provided to me this summer. It was extremely memorable, and it will for sure make a lasting impact on myself for the rest of my life. So I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to see what ClimateWork Maine does in the future. Thank you.